Alright, hi, Technical Manual 650. Technical Manual Central Boiler Plants approved for public list release, distribution unlimited, Headquarters Department Army, October 1989. We're on part 320 of chapter 3, Operation. 320, Combustion Controls. Operating combustion control is fully automatic mode whenever possible to review the manufacturer, operating, and instruction, fully understand the operating characteristics of the particular control system, inspect all the control devices, the link of the daily smooth, the operation, tighten connection, fuel-air ratio. When the amount of the excess for the air to observe the fuel gas exceeds the amount of the determined proper for your system, the fuel-air ratio should be adjusted to determine the proper fuel-air ratio. The boiler should be operated with 4 different loads, with approximately 20%, 40%, 70%, and full load. Data should be taken into each load after adjusting the burner with the optimum operation. The data should be included the steam flow, the BTU output, the fuel flow, the fuel valve, the position fuel pressure, the fuel temperature for the atomizing steam, the air pressure for the oil, the air over fire air pressure if the oil in barack or Ringelmann smoke density, combustion air with the pressure, combustion airflow, the available fan damper position, furnace pressure per percent of oxygen, carbon dioxide, and flue gas with the flue gas temperature at each for the load with the curve of the smoke with the density varies with the percent of the oxygen, carbon dioxide should develop. Figure 3-4 illustrates the such a curve when the desired operation position are known as the 4 loads. The controls linkage should be adjusted to duplicate the setting of the compromise necessary due to the control limitations. The system should be arranged to best control throughout the normal hour operation of the range of the boiler. Standing operation procedure: simple base biasing of the fuel ratio, often possible to allow the operator to compensate the change of the fuel air operating with the characteristics involved with increasing and decreasing amount of the airflow with the fixed amount of the basing of the airflow does not change the basic fuel air ratio. Failure 3.5 illustrates the fuel air ratio basing. When simple basing with the fuel air ratio is simple, a standard operation procedure should be developed. A detailed authorized action should be taken by the operator. Each time the corrective action is taken, it should be noted that the boiler log, any other adjustments of the combustion control setting must be authorized by the direct engineering, housing, and chief operator. 321 boiler safety control. The water column discussed in paragraph 316 is often equipped with the lower water cutout switch with interlock with the shutdown switch of the fuel to the boiler. Historically, this is the most important boiler safety control. The tube rupture failure due to low water level, one of the most common, most dangerous type of failure. The water column must be also blow down each for the shift of the proper operation. Ensure the sediment does not provide normal operation. High steam pressure, high water temperature switches, flame scanner function. Other safety switches are shown in figure 248, 249, and 250 must also be tested periodically. Tests must be performed during the normal startup of the shutting down procedures. 322. Central figure pump. The central figure pumps are the widened for the heating of the plants required with minimum tension. Small electrical driven central figure pumps are started by closing the motor, starting the switch of the discharge valve of the large pump should be closed before pumping is started and produce the power required with the starting. After the pump is started, slowly open the discharge valve of the pump can be safely operated with a few minutes for the discharge valve to close. Continue with the operation from the water circulation will cause the pump to overheat. Open in case the vent to remove the air and gas trapped in the casing. Some of the central figure pumps are often driven at constant speed with output controlled by a throttle discharge valve, either manually or automatically. When the central figure boiler feed pump that are used, the pump control may be consist of the boiler feed water control valve. In all cases, when an automatic regulation is employed, be sure to prevent discharge valve from closing off completely, as this would result in overheating of the pumps. Large hot water distribution pumps that are equipped with variable speed drive to economically control water flow. The central figure pumps are built with they operate against a given head of the discharge pressure for the specified speed. If there's any reason for the discharge pressure to become higher than the higher rated valve, the pump will stand with no flow condition will exist. Immediately investigate corrective that cause of the other increased pressure. Hey, operating central figure pumps in parallel. If the central figure pump is operated with parallel, each pump must have the same characteristics. Otherwise, pump with the greatest head with the pump will all or most of the water result for the overheating low heated one pump. Exercise care and section of the required number of the pumps to meet the load conditions. Controlling leakage for the pump used for the mechanical seal with the packing of the pump shaft. The recommended for the packing of the pump backing material minimal liquid in the tightening of the packing. Be sure to take up evenly but not tightly, as produce excessive friction and cause the overheating. Lubrication. Central figure pumps bearing with lubricated oil rings. Ensure the oil level is maintained high enough to come up on the rings. Check the rings, see that they are turning. Drain the oil occasionally. Flush out the bearings. Add new oil. Central figure pumps have rolling bearings packed with the grease required frequent tension. Do not overgrease the bearings as they may result in overheating and adding grease to the roller bearing. Remove the drain plug. Use the safety fitting to prevent over-greasing. Inspect the pumps daily and proper operation bearing temperature. 323 directing acting pumps. Direct action pumps, duplex and simplex, are maybe used where same as 60 psi psi per gauge may be available where the exhaust steam gauge may be utilized for the heating of the pressure of the economically exhaust with the discharge of the atmosphere. Neglecting leakage, direct action pump delivered with a given amount of water per stroke with the maximum pressure of the given pump developed depending on steam pressure supplied and necessary to regulate the speed of the pump. The control output. The regulation is accomplished with the control rate with the steam flow over the pump hand operated globe valve, the regulating valve actuated with the pump discharge pump. The control varies the pump speed and thereby maintaining constant discharge. Some of the duplex pump gauge and pumps are supplied with the cushioning and valve to regulate with length of the stroke. When the pump begins with a short stroke, the cushioning valve is open to compensate with the cushioning and are not supplied with the length of the stroke. Is regulated. Adjusting the valve gear loft with the motion adjusting cannot be made during the pump operation. Alright. Here is 3-4, your most smoke density, various percent of oxygen, percent of oxygen over percent of opacity. You have the knee, your number 6 oil, your best air setting, and at 100% load. Alright, you have your percent oxygen over the percent load. Your dash line is 1.5% oxide, and your full line is a basic fuel air ratio and 1.5 plus 1.5 bias oxygen. Operation. To start the direct acting steam pump, the drain the steam line, ensure the no water pressure. Water is present. Open the drain cocks, the steam cylinder, ensure the valve and the outlet water lines, exhaust steam lines are open, or adjust the steam to the pump and allow the cylinder drain cocks to remain open until the pump operates. Adjust the cylinder lubricated to feed the required amount of the cylinder. Lubrication. There are principles types for lubricated with the hydrostatically, mechanically hydrostatic, depending upon the pressure created with the column water force for the oil into the cylinder against the steam pressure. Mechanical lubricator consists of a small plunger pump operated with a reciprocating pump with the motion of the pump, avoiding excessive lubrication. The oil does not find its way into the boiler, mixing with condensation. Duplex pump adjustment. The duplex pump will strike its head. Therefore, it must have too much loss of motion. If the valve will short the stroke, if there's too little, if the gross head of the duplex pump slips, the pump may strike the head of one of the end of the short stroke on the other end. Reference figure 2105, 2106, 2107. To adjust the steam valve, the duplex pump proceeds as follows. We're going to remove the steam chest cover. Locate the mid position, one position, moving the alternate edge of the stroke with marking with the rod, same edge with the stuffing box. Locate the marking center of the distance between the two previous marks with the moving piston until the third mark is in line. Indicate the outside edge of the stuffing box. The piston is now in mid position. Note that use the very little marking present. Anything scoring within that rod during operation, very little stretch will sharpen point, and the tool is best. 3. Check the position of the rocker arm. Correct the position of the right with a right angle. The relocated spool of the rocker arm operating the rod to achieve the position. 4 steps. Repeat steps 2 and 3 on other pistons. Locate the valves in mid position. Adjust the effective length of the valve rod to obtain the same amount of the lowest position of each side with the arrangement shown in Figure 2106A. This is done to disconnect the valve pusher rod and turning the valve rod until the loss of motion is equally divided. Then reconnecting the valve push rods with an arrangement shown in Figure 2106B. With the nuts of this valve stem may be located carefully. Must be taken to change the amount of lost motion with relocating the nuts. More than one valve in mid position before the steam is chest is covered. The pump will not start unless it is done, and it will be necessary to provide one side of the pump off the dead center of the hand. Leakage. Leakage of the packing of the valves results from decreased capacity displacement of the pump. The valve leakage usually accompanied with irregular operation. Replace the packing. The repair of the valve is necessary. Steam air binding. Steam air binding is common cause for the failure of displacement pump to deliver the water when suction from lift of the great water with the too hot flashing takes place with the suction pipe and the pump with the cylinder. Steam expands with the contract with the piston. Plunger operates. To correct this condition, decrease the suction line, cool the water. The air leaks in the suction line with the packing. The cylinder will become filled with air instead of water. So if the air is compressible gas is present, prevents the pump from operation. When the pump has been suction line, ensures the suction line is absolutely tight. 324. Injectors. Injectors must be used in stationary practice, usually self-starting automotive type. The two operate with open water with the stream supply valves. The water is first discharged with an overflow. When the injectors start with the liver of the water, the overflow is automatically closed by the vacuum. Vacuum produced rate of the flow is controlled by the means of either the water or steam supply valves. Some of the common difficulties encountered with the operation of injectors are water too hot, suction lift too great, leaks in suction piping, scale deposit injector nozzles and bodies. E. Worn nozzles cause impurities in the water. F. The clogged foot and strainer in a suction piping. G. The fluctuating steam pressure. 325. Fans. In many older plants, natural drafts are created with created stack wood sheet to move the air from the boiler to need with more positive control, with the safety resulted in use of the force induced in the draft fans. Sleeve lubrication. Sleeve bearings are lubricated with the oil rings. The oil rings are largely diameter of the shaft, dip into the oil well under the bearing. Rotation of the shaft causes the rings to turn, carrying the oil bearing. It is important that the proper oil level as well as to be obtained. The ring fails to touch the oil. The bearing will be not lubricated. The rolling bearings require less attention. Then sleeve bearings, pack roller bearings with grease every 6 months, once a year, depending on the surface. The manufacturer recommends the grease only use of care, preventing over-greasing. B. Water-cooled bearings. For fans handling high temperatures, air gas, water-cooled bearings may be required to ensure the cool watering is maintained on bearings. Bearing operation temperature of 130 degrees Fahrenheit less is considered satisfactory. Regulation. Output of the fan can be regulated either by changing with the speed, adjusting the inlet outlet, damper, adjusting the easily employed with the avoid expensive supply of variable speed to drive in the fan. For the fan, the dampers may be manually automatically controlled. In either case, means be provided with regulate airflow to meet the system's requirements. Common difficulties. Some of the common difficulties encountered in the fan operation are vibration caused by the unbalanced rotor, misalignment resulting in the vibration, overheating with the bearings wearing couplings, incorrect sufficient lubrication resulting in failure of the overheating of the bearings, improper regulation due to valve worn control vanes dampers the control mechanism. 5. Reduce the fan efficiency capacity due to blades fouled with dust and dirt and grease. 6. Fan rotor and causing casing erosion due to handle air and gases lading with fly ash and other abrasive material. Alright, 326. Feed water heating the treatment. In simplest system with a closed feed water with the heat may be used to heat the feed water with acceptable temperature, usually 180 degrees Fahrenheit, 200 degrees Fahrenheit. More involved systems heat feed watering, deaerating treatment, as discussed in Chapter 4, reference Chapter 4, Section 3 of Operating Recommendations. Economizer, air heaters, pollution control equipment. The equipment is located with the boiler output to track the gas pressure, temperature. The equipment should be closely monitored as they good indicators of performance, both individual items, the equipment, overall boiler installation. When the soup blowers and other cleaning devices are provided with, it should be operated with once a shift and recommended with the manufacturer. Moving the parts with such a damper linkage. Air heater drivers should be lubricated as recommended with the manufacturer. Ash hoppers should be emptied daily. More frequently than required, care must be taken to maintain the gas temperature above the acid dew point of the reference figure 218 to minimize the corrosion. Daily inspection is required. Manufacturer shutdown instructions should be incorporated with the boiler shutdown procedure. The economizer air heater will not be operated for more than 2 days. Clean this fire side with the minimize corrosion. Problems. 328. Emergency procedure abnormal level. Clear water level to maintain with either manually automatic controls. Aid but cannot be always replaced by operated with reliability. Lower water level can result in burn tubes, the boiler water plates that have been possibly destructive of explosion. High water level causes the water carried out of the steam and causes the damage, the destruction, engine, turbines, valves, piping. Abnormal water level high or low can cause by operator carelessness, failure to regulator and pump, the proper piping of the boiler's leakage, failure of the incident, indicating the device of the failure, water circulating system. Low water level. If the water level is below the visible range of the gauge glass, shut off the fuel flow, purge the boiler, shut off all the fans, continue to feed water slowly until it normally levels restored. If there is possibility that the boiler has been damaged, it should be cooled and thoroughly inspected before being put back in the surface. Underlying causing low water conditions should be determined. Appropriate corrective action taken before attempting to resume normal operation. Water level should be controlled manually with the automatic control known as the function correctly. B. High water level steam boilers. If the water is above the visible range of the gauge glass, shut the feed water valve, feed water and fuel purge of the boiler and shut off the combustion air. Before they hand fire the boilers, another firing by covering the grate whenever the green coal of the water, wet ash of the stroker fire boilers, shut down the stroker, cutting off the air supply, open the furnace and doors. The water level does not recede into the visible range of the gauge glass in 2 minutes. Operating with the blade blowdown valve required. The underlying cause of the high water should be determined as appropriate. Corrective action may be taken to attempt to resume the normal operation when water level should control manually and automatically control is done to function correctly. 329 Emergency Procedure Boiler Tube. If the relatively cold water introduced to the empty drum of the hot boiler, the drum is in tube joints and subjected in several thermal strains which may result in cracks or loosening tubes. Should the water get too low while the heat is still applied, serious damage of the tube and the boiler structure may result. Leakage may be caused so great that available not sufficient to maintain the required level. If the heat water regulator is used, they open wide when the level drops. The result in the large flow of the water so that the boiler may cause the other boilers on the same header system to develop a low water condition. The correcting the remedial procedure varies depending on the rapidity of which the fire can be extinguished. Procedure for the gas and oil fired boilers. If leakage is so serious, immediately remove the boiler. Necessary procedures, the valves of the gas and oil fired burners. 1. Shut off the fuel. Close the steam outlet lines. If one of the boiler in operation does the quicken and prevent the sudden pressure of the drop of the corresponding with the temperature of drop of the multiple boiler insulation. When more than one surface within the leak header pressure non-return with valve will automatically isolate the disassembled boiler from the header. 3. Shut off the supply of the feed water with the boiler, provided with not enough of the hot refractory as to cause the overheating in the case of the boiler to refractory furnaces. Adjust the feed water to the maximum, consisting of the protection supply of other boilers, attempting to maintain the normal water level until the overheating of the bath is the shut off of the feed water. 4. Maintain the minimum airflow from the boiler to setting the carrying away the steam discharge from the leak. 5. After 15 to 20 minutes, shut down the forced draft fans. 6. Proceed with the normal method of cooling the boiler. Do not drain until the furnace is cool enough to enter. 7. Inspect the boiler and oil pressure to completely repair the boiler as required. Be sure that the boiler is hydrostatically tested and approved for the authorized inspector before returning to service. B. Procedure for the stroke-fired boilers. But the stroke-fired units, the following procedure recommended, but the failures occur. Shut off the fuel feed, but gradually reduce the airflow of the fuel bed. Decrease also. Use whatever means are predetermined available to smother the fire effectively without danger of explosion. 2. Close the steam outlet valves. Adjust the feed water flow for the maximum permissible. Attempt to maintain the normal water level. Shut off the feed water after the setting of it has been cooled with the point of no danger overheating exists. Just the airflow minimum safety level consistent with preventing water, steam, and the flowing in the boiler room and minimizing the rating of the cooling. Inspect the boiler completely. Make the necessary repairs. Be sure that the boiler is hydrostatically tested and approved by the authorized inspector before returning to service. 330 Emergency Procedure Fan Failure. The flow of the air gaffer through the boiler depends upon the action force with induced from the draft fan. If the gas difficulty occurred with the induced draft fan stop, and then any of the reason the combustion system continues to operate, the induced the draft fan failed to smoke with the combustion gas. The fires are discharged into the boiler room. The forced draft of the fan fuel feed should be immediately stopped when the ID fan tripped. Most boilers are equipped with the safety interlock, which does this automatically. Safety interlock also normally provided with the stop fuel feed. If the forced draft fans, if in such lock, are not provided by the operator, may take these actions manually. If they induce the fans have been tripped for any of the reasons, slow up open all dampers, air, flue, gas passage over the other wide open position in order to create the much natural draft as possible to ventilate the setting. Open the dampers should be the time to control and avoid excessive pressure transition during the fan coast down. Maintain the condition for a period that will result in not less than 5 volume change with any case not less than 15 minutes. At the end of the period, close the flow control dampers immediately. Start the fan, gradually increase the flow at 25% of the fuel flow purge to the setting of the 5 minutes. The general recommendation should be adhered to unless adequate tests are specified of the boiler to demonstrate the different valves that should be used. Alright, 331, Emergency Procedure Electrical System Failure. Auxiliary equipment in some of the plants equipped with both steam and electric devices. In the case of the failure of one or the other, them quickly put into service. If the auxiliary equipment is electrically driven, there is no gasoline, steam, engine backup of the energy source of the auxiliary power. The electrical failure causes the complete outage. While the power is restored, prepare the boiler equipment so the operation must be immediately resumed for the power available to prepare the following schedule of testing operation. All standby equipment. Some of the boilers may be operated at a reduced rating of the natural draft. The steam-driven pumps may be used to supply feed water. If this is possible, some of the steam services may be allowed to maintain a range of the schedule with the least important services shut off during the emergency study of the plant and determine how the cases of electrical power failure. Following the services are continued water supply to the boilers, operation inducing draft fan, fuel supply to the furnace, combustion air supply, operation automatic controls, operational valves, and safety valves. 332 emergency procedure flame failure. Oil gas burners are provided with a flame scanner with the safety controls. Will safety shut down the burner with a 2 to 4 seconds of flame failure post purge furnace, but before shutting it off the fan's manual system replaced with the operator to take these actions. If the fan is operating with a safety shutdown, continue the operation. Do not immediately increase the airflow. The airflow is about 25% of the full load flow. It should be gradually decreased with the valve value for post firing purges of at least 5 minutes. If the flow is below 25% of the time of the shutdown, it should be continued at the rate of 5 minutes and then increased with the 25% level held there for an additional 5 minutes. Reference the National Fire Protection Association 85 Standard Series for additional information. 33. Removing a boiler from service. When removing a boiler from service, care must be taken to prevent rapid temperature change with resulting thermal stress that helps decrease the possibility of the future force of the outage, reduce the maintenance cost of the procedure, removal as follows. Reduce the load of the boiler, minimum stability firing rate, open the bottom of the blowdown connection for the sufficient time to remove the sludge in the bottom drum. With the oil, gas firing, fuel shut off valve with the trip of the appropriate time, and all manual valve for the burners should be closed immediately with the choke fire burners. Sock hoppers should be emptied and the fuel bed burned out. D. The setting of the boiler should be cooled down without exceeding the maximum rate prescribed by the manufacturer's general guide with available with weight with oil until the furnace's refactory is black before using the higher rates of the airflow of the for cooling. Excess care with using the ID fan for the cooling. ID fan and the motor are designed to handle hot gases and colder gases, not control the can and cause the motor an overload. Over highest pressure steam boilers after the feed water flow ceases, the no return valve has closed the feed water valve, main steam stop valve, run down the steam non-returning valve to hold the disc on its seat. When 2 stop valves are used to open the drain between the ensure that it clears the bed off with any air pressure in the line. When the steam pressure falls between 25 psi, open the drum vent to prevent the formation of vacuum, which might subsequent leakage into the gasketed joints. On the hot water boilings, maintain the water circulation with the boiler sufficient cool with the stop circulation, the inlet and outlet valves, open the vent valve. 8. So the boiler should be inspected with clean and prefer inspection paragraph 511 and 412. The storage are planned following instruction paragraph 418 to protect the water side, producing and removing the low pressure steam, low temperature water heating boiler from service can be found in the American Society of Mechanical Engineer Code Section 6. Section 3. Optimizing central plant efficiency.